VGK looks to go up 2-0 at T-Mobile Arena on Tuesday night. Bruce Cassidy said that he expects Game 2 to be somewhat predictable with just some minor tweaks to the lineups and what have you. We preview the Golden Knights Wild second game on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights.
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi again, everyone. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick from Las Vegas. We are recording the show at night on Monday evening, and thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. I am a longtime sportscaster. I am a marketing consultant and the host of Believe in Vegas, the podcast. And on Tuesday, we'll have an NFL draft preview with Cody Benjamin of CBS Sports. He is Chris Golick, the owner of Silver State Cards and Sports and the collectibles editor of the Hockey News. Please subscribe to our Locked On Golden Knights YouTube channel. Coming up ahead on today's show, well, first of all, we'll be previewing the second game here and talk about some adjustments later on the Pacific Division coaching carousel, as there's another victim who loses his job on Monday, and our locks and predictions for the second game in the best of seven against the Wild Cards. So, Chris, on Tuesday night, it is a big game, right? As the Golden Knights look to maintain the home ice advantage, first of all, before they leave to go to Minneapolis. A big win by VGK, and they have control of this series, leading 2-0, regardless of what happens there in Minnesota. They still have home ice. And for Minnesota, a team that has dropped now 6 straight against the Golden Knights, a chance to gain some confidence headed back to their home ice.
Two things here. One, where I think the Golden Knights won the game, and it was balance. You had Mark Stone and Jack Eichel, the time on ice leaders for the forwards, not including the defense, for the forwards. Mark Stone, 17-16, Jack Eichel, 17-12. Looking on the Minnesota Wild side, that top line of Kaprizov, Boldy, and Eric Sinek, 21-57, 22-32, 21-06. Those are defenseman numbers right there. Those are defenseman type of, like your shutdown defender, top pairing. That's what those minutes are right there. That's going to catch up, number one. This reminds me of what Chris Knobloch, and not Chuck Knobloch, what Chris Knobloch does with the Edmonton Oilers. When things aren't going well, let's just stack Draisaitl and McDavid. Let's triple shift them. And, they wind up with 14 minutes in the third period alone. So that's where the Golden Knights, I think, won this game, being able to balance 4 lines. Looking at players like Kolasar, 13:56 time on ice. Hurdle, as effective as he was, only 13:58 time on ice. Mm-hmm. So there's a couple of important reasons as to why they won the game. The concern for the Golden Knights this game is, insert evil Tony Cardasco laugh here, the concern was that third line this game, the Golden Knights' third line of William Karlsson, Riley Smith, and Victor Olofsson not matching up well against the top line of Kaprizov, Boldy, and Eric Sinek. -2 in the game for Riley Smith, -1 in the game for William Karlsson, -1 in the game for Victor Olofsson.
Yeah, I was going to touch. It's so funny that you mentioned this and the minutes and how Bruce Cassidy and the coaching staff, how they managed the minutes.
The balance was great. The balance was brilliant.
Well, so I wrote down some notes too on the napkin. We said that this could be a battle of the top lines in our initial preview, right? VGK, no points on Sunday out of Jack Eichel, Mark Stone, and Ivan Barbashev on just 5 shots on net. That was it. They only had 5 shots as a line. Remember how they came out gangbusters early in the season? They might have had 5 shots in 1 shift, for crying out loud. So Stone played the most time on the ice. I never would have guessed that, by 4 seconds over Eichel, but just a little over 17 minutes. And that's it. 17 minutes, to your point about managing minutes, right? And then Barbashev just 15-28. That's not characteristic of the way that the top line has played a lot on the ice. And Cassidy is definitely watching the minutes. He's spreading them out to keep players fresh. And Minnesota, their top line, Kaprizov, Boldy, Eriksson Ek accounted for 4 points, 2 by Boldy with those goals, 2 by Kaprizov with his 2 assists. And Cassidy knows that he needs to stop the Wild Cards top line. So how will he do this? What will the approach be in game 2?
Nicholas Waugh, Brett Howden, Keegan Colasar is the answer to that. I think you will see more matchups from the fourth checking energy line, whatever you want to call it these days. You got to punish them, and you got to do it over and over and over and over. Not that the Golden Knights weren't finishing every check by any means. Both teams did a great job finishing checks. McNabb even got called for one that was a little borderline, but whatever. But every check needs to be finished. The Alec Martinez quote: "You knew when you're going in the corner, you're going to get checked into the first row and eating nachos," or whatever the comment was. That's what you got to do. You got to wear these guys down, and if you can slow down the Wild's top line, again, we have a small sample size, just one game, but the sample size shows that the top line and one player can only score goals for the Minnesota Wild. So you eliminate them, you make your path to victory much easier. So that's what I would look to see. Coach Cassidy went, I believe, was it the Carlson Riley Smith line? I think that was who started Sunday's game. I would not be surprised if the fourth energy line gets the start in this one and back it up with McNabb and Theodore just to kind of set that tone. Golden Knights got to get this game. I mean, like you talked about early in your intro, not in trouble until you lose a home game, blah, blah, blah. If the Golden Knights can win this game, they control their destiny no matter what happens in Minnesota. Minnesota is going to be matching up their top line against the third line, at least based off the success of game 1. You lose the matchup advantage because the home team, of course, gets the last change. So if Coach Cassidy can find a path to getting through this game and getting the Golden Knights up 2-0 and managing the matchups that were somewhat of a mismatch in the last game, then everything's going to be just fine. But the Wild are going to have a game effort. There's no doubt about that.
I thought, well, Bostonian type speak here, that the pace was wicked fast there in game number 1.
Which doesn't favor the Golden Knights in this case.
It was so fast there, especially the first half of the first period was just up and down the ice. And then everyone's like, well, the Golden Knights then found their game. I don't know about that. They found a goal. They definitely found a goal, and it was a heck of a shot there that landed by Hurdle.
I think both teams found their game in the first, honestly. I think both teams had their game in the first.
It was so fast, though, up and down the ice. And the hits also is something. And, again, fans can say, well, that doesn't matter too much, but 54-29, Minnesota led in hits in that game.
It matters a ton. It matters.
The further it goes into the series, that's why I think a lot of fans are predicting a 4-0 VGK sweep here. And that's wishful thinking because you don't want this series to go into the 5th or 6th games. You really don't, because I think it's going to be a much heavier game for Minnesota. I think they're going to come out, and I think they're going to continue to play smash mouth hockey. Now, we know that Minnesota, they said, Russo, the athletic writer, had said on Monday that John Hines said that the team is healthy. However, why would Minnesota recall 8 players from their AHL franchise in Iowa on Monday? I thought that was peculiar. They just want to have some guys to hang out and play cards against them here in
you
Vegas.
Always have a large number of rookies and scratches in the playoffs.
What's the roster size? You could just take the whole team.
The roster,
from the AHL?
It expands. I don't know the exact details of that, but you wind up having a large number of scratches as things go on. I'm looking up. You said Iowa?
Yeah, I sent you the
Iowa
text
Wild,
earlier in the day.
I'm looking at no. I want to know if the Iowa Wild even in the playoffs right now, because that would be really strange if they're calling all these players up. And
I would guess no.
They're out. They had
only them and the Golden Knights
season. 62 points on the season, which was one less points than the Henderson Silver Knights. That coach has to be getting.
That's hard to do. Them. It's got to be.
So with what was the point? The pace. Going to the pace. The pace is really important in this game. I talked about the fourth line matching up against the Wild's top line. The Wild are, and maybe it's not necessarily the Wild. This just in the Capitals beat Montreal in overtime and take a 1-0 series lead. Logan Thompson gets the start. Welcome back, Logan.
Montreal came back from 2-0 in that
They
game.
did come back. I saw a power play goal. I didn't see how the other goal went in, but either way, Caps got it done, and Winnipeg also
Montreal
wins. They
was
take
dangerous.
it 2-1.
I thought they were dangerous, peaking at the right time.
And they are dangerous. They're going to be dangerous throughout the series. They're not done. This isn't the last you're going to hear of them by any means. So the pace, talking about the pace. The Golden Knights, their transition game, it's amazing. It's been, I don't know how you rank transitional scoring opportunities, but if there's a measurable statistic, I would be shocked if going back to 2017-18, the Golden Knights were not at the top or the top 3 as far as best teams in transition, scoring, opportunities, and of course conversions, more importantly. That's number 1 right there. But you don't want to go blow for blow. You never want to go blow for blow. You never want to basically be in there in, a lightweight slugfest where they're just out there punching, no defense, in 6-5 hockey games. That wouldn't be in the Golden Knights' best interest. Slow the game down. Find a way to limit the puck possession of the Minnesota Wild's top line. That's back to finishing the checks. That's back to punishing Kaprizov, inflicting pain. This is playoff hockey. This is time for brutality, for lack of a better term. The regular season, the preseason is what it is. There's physical moments. There's some things that are going to happen, like, oh, wow, look at that hit. This is time for brutality. And I know that's maybe not, we're kind of towing the line a little when we say that, but that's what NHL hockey is when it comes to playoffs.
Violence. It's violence.
It's violence. It's violence. It's brutality. It's pain. It's all sorts of things. And we're even losing referees and officials right now for that
Good
reason.
check on the officials, by the way.
So
Howden.
that's the key to that's my perspective of the keys to the game. Slow the game down and more brutality. There you go.
So Adin Hill, not a heavy workload on Sunday, so they're going to have to put more shots on net. He stopped those shots in the flurry late in the second. I think that was the biggest scare there and the biggest push for the Minnesota Wild. And Eriksson Ek got stopped there on a beautiful save there by Adin Hill late. And the Gus Bus was upset with himself. I don't know if you saw him when they pulled him out of the game and he was just shaking his head. He was really kind of disgusted with himself that he couldn't get it done. And here's a good goaltender in bounce back situations. He's fared very well. So that is of great concern. And then if you talk to an NHL goaltender, Chris, you might want to ask him, why are the Golden Knights shooting high? Shooting high. 2 of their goals, right, were high, top shelf goals on Gustafsson. I'm curious about that. I think that they found a weakness there, but I still cannot. I went back and watched the Hurdle goal. For crying out loud, there was absolutely no space. Gustafsson did a terrific job of just holding the post there on the right side.
This just in, NHL players are pretty good at shooting the puck and finding small windows. Victor Olofsson might be the best on the Vegas Golden Knights, and he'll inflict his will on the series at some points. Another note that was just kind of crossing my mind, look at John Hines. So we're talking about adjustments. We're talking about what Cassidy is going to do and what Hines is going to do. And this is really where the series starts for the coaches now. This is the chess game. Not just about the matchups, but what's going to happen in practice and everything. And by the way, John Hines, he's been a head coach in the NHL going back to 2015, 2016. And John Hines is either not qualified for the playoffs or lost in round 1. So John Hines has done nothing he's not even at Pete DeBoer or Paul Maurice status before Maurice won his Stanley Cup. He's the up-and-coming coach, but not really. He's been doing this for 10 seasons now. So Hines is going to have to dig really deep with a roster that is very subpar compared to the Vegas Golden Knights. He's going to have to dig deep to find a way to get 9 other forwards involved in the game that aren't Ek, Kaprizov, and Matt Boldy. Geez, from Matt Boldy, great game.
Matt Boldy.
He's going to have to find a way.
You and Cassidy forget about Matt Boldy, and to me, he's the MVP of the series for knocking out Carlson there in the empty net attempt. I thought,
and you wonder why people give us so much grief because of crap like that.
All right. So in any event, adjustments. We just go way over, man. We just keep talking here.
We'll shorten the third segment.
All right. Yeah, we'll cut that short in the third. So Bruce Cassidy said he does not expect he didn't expect, I should say, the Wild defenseman to pinch. He said it took a couple of shifts. And then, see, this is the thing about Cassidy. I don't know if Hines could do this, but Cassidy makes adjustments in game and tells them, hey, remember what we told you to do for the forwards? Now you need to change that, and you need the change in direction. And I thought it was pretty interesting when Cassidy was breaking that down at Monday's presser.
I mean, listen, Stanley Cup winner, been to the Stanley Cup twice.
No Jack Adams.
He's been only out of the playoffs one. He's only not been in the playoffs as an NHL head coach one time with the Caps in 03-04,
Yeah,
and he
I
was
think that's
fired.
it.
So that doesn't even count necessarily.
Right. No, yeah. I think it's just one time. Yeah.
So Cassidy
He's got the
has
longest
never
run, hasn't he?
not been a
Yeah.
head coach in the NHL playoffs, besides
Correct.
when he got fired. So he's doing something right. And John Hines, I'm sure
Good
he's
coach.
a magnificent individual and a great hocky mind, but
Really good human
it's
being.
checkers and chess, checkers against checkers and chess right now.
He's a great human being.
He's a great human being. Wonderful.
VGK needs to break the 1-2-2 pressure there in right there in the neutral zone, and Cassidy called it passive pressure 1-2-2. I thought that was kind of funny. I didn't expect that out of Cassidy, but he's starting to feel his oats too. He really is. He's starting to get confident.
His Adam oats.
I think he's starting to feel like VGK's in. He saw something there that he liked right out of his team, and yeah, he knows that they're definitely playing well, and that the best is yet to come. Coming up next, we have some NHL coaching changes in the Pacific Division, including the human being. We'll be back with more right after this on Locked On Golden Knights. Looking for a snack that is both delicious and nutritious? Well, crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios, one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they are packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help to keep you feeling fuller longer. I definitely like myself the no shells variety. It is definitely the perfect grab and go snack for busy days like on Monday, whether I'm snacking at my desk on a road trip or I just need a quick protein boost. They are always my go-to. A lot of times I'm going to be skipping lunch for some reason. I forget about it. And this is a great go-to for me. And if you love cracking open every shell for the satisfying crunch, the in-shell options are a classic favorite. The fact that Wonderful Pistachios is a complete protein, it provides all 9 essential amino acids. And the no-shell Wonderful Pistachios for that grab-and-go ease and the satisfying crack of opening each shell. It's like snack mediation. Whether you're running between meetings or dropping off the kids, Wonderful Pistachios are the snack that works as hard as you do. Get snackin' and get crackin' with a snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. Get crackin', Vegas. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com. Back on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights. It is Locked On Golden Knights at night here, the nighttime edition here on Monday evening from Las Vegas. We appreciate everyone tuning in. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Find us wherever you get your podcast. Yeah, I was laughing about getting Kraken because the Kraken got Kraken today, the Seattle Kraken. The Seattle Kraken let Dan Bylsma go. Bylsma. Why do I keep? I had Bylsma. I just lost it. Okay. So they let Dan Bylsma go. He has 2 years remaining on his contract, will not be retained. We could see Peter Laviolette there. Jessica Campbell was retained. She has 1 more year in her contract. No, I think it's a pretty interesting situation in light of everything we heard from Chandler Stevenson this week. And in all honesty, how do you fire a coach after just 1 season? You don't have an opportunity to build your club, Ron Francis moves up in the organization. He was the general manager. Francis actually played for Lavalette, and Francis now the new team president. Jason Botterill is the new general manager. And now you have someone like Peter Lavalette, who is now free to go wherever he wants to go. And that might be the landing spot for him.
So there's a few things here. Number
Get
one,
Get cracking.
talking about Billsma. Coachella takes Coachella Valley 2 seasons in a row.
I thought you were going to say he went to the festival this weekend.
Maybe. Takes Coachella Valley twice in a row to the Calder Cup final. And that's a very difficult task. The American Hockey League playoffs is almost as much or more of a gauntlet than the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs, because there's like 26 of the 30 something teams qualify, or 21. It's a crazy number. There's more rounds. There's more playing. It's just a pain in the butt the way they do it. Good luck even trying to figure out how it happens. But Billsma found a way to climb the ladder and get within one. Or I think it was a Game 7 OT in the 22-23 one. Now that
Colorado,
I think
right?
that. So he got possibly. Well, it would have been Colorado because that would have been 2 Western Conference teams. Hershey Bears both times. Hershey Bears. Hershey Bears are repeat.
I thought you were talking about. Sorry, go ahead.
I got you. So you bring a coach like this up. You bring a coach like this up. You're doing it to continue to develop. Now, looking at what the Kraken have to work with, Chandler Stevenson contract did not get enough in return for his bag, but that's not on the coach. Look at a player like Shane Wright. Shane Wright is developing very, very well. Billsma's thumbprint, if you will, is on Shane Wright, much better than Brendan Brisson and Coach Ryan Craig for the Silver Knights. There we go. We keep crapping on Henderson here. Capo Caco. Talk about Capo Caco. This is where you.
He doesn't want to see Lavalette coming.
Right, but my point is, though, Capo Caco comes in and he looked much more the part than he ever has with your Rangers, Tony. You have to think that Billsma has something to do with that right there. You got younger players, Isamont, other players, Ryan Winterton, Riker
they need
Evans,
some scoring.
Been around.
Remember we talked about them. They need some scoring.
Ty Cartier. I mean, all players that have been, I believe, with Billsma in some degree in the American League. So it's a head scratcher. You wonder if this paves the way for one of the assistants to possibly get that role, or if they go outside the organization. And how about Chandler Stevenson? This is how you don't get in your general manager's good graces. I have to assume that, first of all, the relationship between Billsma and Stevenson is good. Number one, fine, whatever. Okay.
Right.
But why was he saying these things at the exit interview?
Trying to save his job.
Exactly. So Chandler Stevenson attached himself to his exiled coach, and now all of a sudden the general manager's listening to all this stuff. I can assure you that just like McCrimmon and every other general manager in the hockey league, when their players talk in the media, they listen. Trust me, we know they listen. So now Chandler Stevenson, he's got his $7 million bag, fine, whatever, but it's going to be a little weird up in the Pacific Northwest, I guess.
Anaheim, another team that fired its coach, and that is Greg Cronin. It happened over the weekend after 2 seasons. The Ducks missing the playoffs for a 7th consecutive year. Pat Verbeek said, this is the standard, right? We need a new voice in the clubhouse, in the locker room. We need a new voice. They did that to Cassidy. But when you look at this team, market improvement, Chris, they improved by 21 points this season, and I would have kept him. Mike Sullivan's name is out there. Jay Leach, who was an assistant with Boston, their names are out there. Lavalette's name is also in the bag as well, but that one is a head scratcher to me because I thought that they were starting to make progress. And again, I think especially in the NHL, they pull the trigger. They fire coaches way too soon.
So Lavia, now you're brought him up here.
Lavalette.
1 year ago, he is in the conference final.
Oh, we
now
know.
He is unemployed. And this goes back to, I think we hit this maybe a couple of weeks ago, but this goes back to Pete DeBoer's. I think I hit this on.
DeBoer's going to be out of a job.
Oh, DeBoer,
he wind up,
if they lose,
he'll wind
DeBoer's
up in the Pacific. He'll wind up in the Pacific. maybe.
I don't. I mean, probably the
That would be
Rangers.
crazy.
Rangers actually be a really good place. Or
Yeah,
Seattle,
Rangers would be
possibly.
good. I thought, yeah, for sure.
Rangers probably better. But my point where I'm going with this is where Pete DeBoer made a very good. I think it was not long after he took the job in Dallas. And we hit this. Probably, I think we hit this. We were talking about Chandler Stevenson's comments. Now that I'm thinking about this here,
We did.
but it's how do you develop relationships with these players knowing your shelf life is 2, maybe 3 seasons, no matter what. Coach Cassidy is an exception for now, but again, one falter by Coach Cassidy, if the Golden Knights are out of the playoffs, he's likely gone. And that's not a knock on Cassidy. It's not a knock on McCrimmon. That is just what the NHL is about. John Cooper is about the only exception, I think, as far as a tenured coach right now. So every couple of years, the coaches are gone, they're out. And this is an issue with the landscape of the National Hockey League because these coaches, they're here and they're gone. So, for lack of a better term, yeah, they might treat the players like crap. They might be very hard on them. They might be more focused on being their coach instead of being a human being and their best friend, Tony. And that's not the coach's fault. It's not the player's fault. It is the general manager's fault for being not patient enough and not having enough, care for the players to wonder about their well-being. I mean, we know how it is. I mean, we're fortunate enough not to be in the traditional workforce, but when we did have jobs, whenever I got a new director, when I ran my poker rooms, whenever I had someone new to report to, it blanking sucked. And the word starts with an F. I could not stand it. Some of my general managers were great. Some of them, I wouldn't help them change a tire on the side of the road if it was freezing in the
So
winter.
you're saying they weren't good human beings? They were not good human beings.
Some were good humans. Some were great human beings, and some were garbage.
Bad managers. Bad managers.
That's the toughest thing. So
okay,
yeah, we're going long to get us out of here.
We have one other organization to talk about. That's Vancouver. They're in the Pacific. Last I checked. Rick Tocchet, his contract is up this summer, and they are trying desperately to re-sign him. They want him there in Vancouver. They feel as though they're headed in the right direction, but does he bolt for more money going somewhere else?
Jim Rutherford had the mic today, and he didn't hold a lot back. Quinn Hughes, has said before he wants to play with his brothers. That would be partly out of our control, but it's in our control if we brought his brothers here.
That's tampering.
Okay, New Jersey Devils, we're going to send you Jack Hughes and Luke Hughes. Send us Elias Pettersson and a bag of pucks. No problem. Done deal.
That's tampering. That's tampering.
Jeez, what is this guy?
The old guard in the NHL. Absolutely no
dude.
filter.
420. It's 421. The dude's still on 420 time right now. The way he's talking. I mean, it's just I don't understand a comment like that. And the Canucks are. I said on Twitter today. They need to fire the coach. They need to trade every asset over 23 years old. They need a new PA announcer. They need a new mascots. They need to start completely fresh, or they are going to be the Buffalo Sabres of Western Canada.
And that's coming up. Coming up next, really we've got our locks and predictions for the Tuesday night game, Game 2 in the opening round of the Cup Series between VGK and Minnesota, the Wild Cards. Back with more right after this on Locked On Golden Knights. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there is no better place to get in on it than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place a lot of live bets throughout the game. So even if you missed the opening tip-off, you could bet on a team like the Knicks that went on the 22-0 run a couple of days ago. And, of course, if you want to bet on a fourth-quarter comeback or a blowout in the fourth quarter, you can also do that, and you can stay in the action all the time. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. I definitely like using FanDuel. The live betting feature, it definitely keeps every moment of the game exciting. You're always in the action. And whether you are banking on your team making a comeback, a late game rally, or picking a player to hit a clutch 3, you absolutely feel like you've never missed your chance. Plus, the app is so easy to use. And when you win, you get paid instantly. That's right. And right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That is FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the National Basketball Association. Welcome back on this edition of Lockdown Golden Knights from Las Vegas. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick. Don't forget Fridays, our WTF day here, of course, on the big show on Lockdown Golden Knights. And of course, Saturdays, sometimes it is the Chris Jr. show. So it's that time for our locks and prediction. Oh my goodness. Mr. WrestleMania himself arriving on the scene. Little Chris, man, you got to tell me, what was the highlight of WrestleMania for
Main
you?
event.
What did
Main event.
Which main
the
event?
main?
Main event Saturday, and my face is still half burned.
His face
Burned
is still
from-
half burned from the
from what?
pyro.
The pyro. Were you doing like this? Yeet, yeet, yeet. Were you doing that?
He was
No,
eating it. Chris, acknowledge your tribal chief.
I would have been eating instead of yeeting. I would have
Now
been
yeet.
eating.
Now yeet.
Okay.
Give us a yeet.
Eat.
He's a yeet.
That's all you're good. That's all you're good.
That's
all we're
awesome.
getting.
That's awesome.
eating.
What a weekend for this guy. Holy smokes.
Yeah, so much we took to stay off of school.
Oh, there. Hey, you're rewarded there, brother. What a great 3-day span there. So forget about Easter, by the way, because there's too much other stuff going on. In any event, what are your predictions for game number 2 of the series between the Minnesota Wild Cards and the Vegas Golden Knights?
3-1 Vegas.
Whoa. Okay. And who are
players?
you taking there?
Smith and Eichel.
Smith and Eichel. Okay, Eichel's bound to break out of it. All right,
Yeah.
man. We appreciate you. Thanks for dropping by. I am going to go. So they're finally interviewing Pavel Dorofeev.
Yeah.
Was that by popular request when we said they need to interview Dorofeev a few weeks ago? And then, dude, they are definitely trolling me. I don't know about you so much, but all the Carlson posts, they are trolling me to no end.
I don't care.
It's really funny. And then Dorofeev, we had mentioned it on that day's show. And then the next day, I think they had him interviewed and he hadn't been spoken to in months. So I am going to go with Dorofeev and Eichel. And I am going to go with the Wild springing an upset 4-3. 4-3. Things change so drastically in Cup Series games. And I just think I saw a little bit out of Minnesota. I like that the goaltender was really mad and upset with himself in Gustafsson. And I feel as though Kaprizov, with every repetition, he's going to become more dangerous. I'm going to go 4-3. Might go into overtime. I've got the Wild winning, though.
I'm going to say the games are pretty much carbon copies of each other. 4-2 Golden Knights. Barbashev, I think, was around it a little bit. I think he's going to find a way to
15
get
minutes.
involved.
I think that was it. Yeah.
But I think you're going to see a little more. I think you might see a little more out of the top line. Barbashev might find some space out there. And then let's go with Theodore. Let's go with Theodore. Had that nice fake shot that became a pass, not a shot pass. Theodore, you could tell his confidence is where it needs to be with the puck and in the offensive zone. And I think we're going to have a nice little razzle-dazzle goal out of Theodore on Tuesday night.
Dorofeev. Oh, my goodness.
At least they had someone in the building to broadcast the dang game. Give them credit for putting someone on the back of a Southwest coach plane to do it.
Oh, my gosh. You're right.
They made him fly a low-level airline and do carry-on.
Yeah, 2 tin cans and a string. They're doing it out of someone's basement there. But I'm definitely looking forward to the game. But it starts again, late start time, 11 o'clock on the
Bring
East
on the
Coast.
overtime. Bring on the overtime. Let's go for Max Payne.
Let's go to
3
2 a.m.
overtimes tomorrow night. I'll record Wednesdays. I'll record Wednesday's show
from there
on the way home.
On the way home. So there's probably a game that butts up against it, I'm sure. So it probably will start at 8:30 or 9 o'clock, 8:45. I'm sure that's what's going to happen.
Too late. Kings up 1-0 over the Oilers. Avalanche and Stars are tied right now. As far as the games on Tuesday nights, the NHL website's going really slow.
Yeah.
Still going slow. Okay.
No.
Golden Knights are the nightcap.
Yeah.
You have games at 3 local. What? Hurricanes.
Yeah, there's an
Devils are
early game. They
3
did say that.
local?
Is
You
it
got
3?
3 local, 4:30 local, 5:30 local, and they're putting on ESPN. There is a good chance that game will start late
On ESPN
actually.
News again.
on USA on USA 2.
On ESPN Ocho. That's where you can find the Golden
Whatever.
Knights.
That's fine.
It's still better than Nighttime Minus. We appreciate everyone tuning in wherever you might be around the world. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, don't forget, we'll be back on Wednesday with our recap of game number 2. On Friday, don't forget, it is What the Friday, where we get all your comments and we just have a blast. For my man, Chris Golick, I am Tony Cardasco from Las Vegas. Have a great day on Tuesday, everyone. And we'll see you again on Wednesday right here on Locked On Golden Knights. And please take care.